My name's Joey Hoover, owner of Hoover Delivery Services and Level Up Fitness, and also 4 years clean off heroin.
Oh, I'm just gonna take a minute between every question.
That's fine.
How were you first introduced to drugs?
I was first introduced to drugs around high school, pretty much the same as every kid. Didn't per se that was a problem in high school. I was introduced to your regular marijuana, beer, parties, and everything like that. But nothing really was a problem at that age. I was an athlete through high school, so never had any drug issues through high school. It was much after high school when I started selling pain pills and making a lot of money off it before I actually turned to start using them.
And was there a specific person that got you hooked on it, or was it just a gradual?
At the time I was with the... Wait, you need me to answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you ask it again?
Was there a specific person that introduced you to drugs?
I wouldn't say there's a single person singly responsible for it, but at the time I was dealing with an ex-girlfriend at the time who was dealing with a lot of their own battles and stuff that I took on my own shoulders willingly, and ended up leading me down a bad road as well.
Okay, and what did rock bottom look like for you?
Rock bottom looked like to me taking my daughter down Kensington every morning, down D in Clearfield, D in Cambria to pick up dope. Not something I'm proud of, but something I openly talk about today. Me overdosing about 5 times in 1 month, to the last time being home alone and overdosing. And thank God my sister had walked in right after I overdosed and found me blue. She was also with my daughter, who was 4 at the time. And she gave me CPR till the cops came, ambulance came, they Narcaned me back, and that was the last time I picked up a drug.
And so what happened after that?
After that, my mom told me she was done with my shit. I've been to rehab 10 to 12 times by now. She was pretty much sick of my shit. She told me I was out in the street, and she didn't care what I did. And I ended up going to a meeting that day, and an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the area, and they hooked me up with rehab, which I went to rehab and really only lasted 6 days there because I was feeling all the pain from everything I just went through, and I no longer had drugs to turn to. So I got kicked out of there for raging out, acting out, all types of behaviors that I was basically acting out because I no longer had the drugs in me.
And so when you got kicked out of rehab, where did you go?
Well, I was getting kicked out of rehab and I had nowhere to go. My mom made it clear that I wasn't coming home. I'd come home and got high every time. The last day I was at the rehab, some halfway programs came there, and they basically said that we'll take you. I didn't need no money because I didn't have nothing. They took me in there, built up a back balance there, and they let me stay there for about 3-4 weeks before I got a job and was able to start paying rent. I ended up staying in that halfway house for about 9 to 12 months.
And what did that halfway house do for your recovery?
That halfway house did pretty much everything for my recovery. I remember coming home to that house. A lot of them guys that I got sober with, I'm still best friends today. There was times when I wanted to get high more than anything in my life, and them guys just sat with me. And we had a common bond, you know. We all came from the same shit, the same stuff, and we just made a way for each other.
And then just to double back, you said your daughter was there when you overdosed. Was she aware of what was going on? How did that affect your relationship with her?
She was aware there was something wrong. She wasn't aware to the degree. But I don't know if someone sent her in the room that day because after I was Narcaned, I was very sick and throws you into a precipitated withdrawal to where it's probably the worst feeling I ever felt in my life for about 4 or 5 hours. You're freezing, you're sweating, the bed's full of sweat, but you're freezing and shivering, your whole body's cramping up, you can't walk, vomiting, stomach bile, everything. And I don't know if someone sent her in a room, but I remember her coming to the room saying, "Dad, you have to get help."
And how old was she?
She was 4 years old at the time.
And so, what was your motivation to stay clean once you got there?
My motivation to stay clean at that time was really to prove a lot of people wrong, because I had let people down so many times that my brother, that day that I overdosed, came in the house. And he had came there every time I overdosed. He was always there to pick me up when I was down. But this time he was kind of fed up, kind of smacked me in the face and walked out and told me he wouldn't be at my funeral when I died. They just kept hitting me with all these statistics. And then when I got to rehab, I was getting hit with the same statistics. 70, 80% of people ain't gonna make it. All these statistics that I took as a challenge, kind of built vengeance towards it all. And basically my biggest thing to stay sober was to realize that how much I was affecting my daughter and my family when getting high. It took me a long time to notice how much I was affecting them. The whole time I was using, I always thought it was poor me. I was born a drug addict, I was gonna die a drug addict. I felt like I had it the worst, but here, my mom would be home every day worried about me. She had no say in the matter. If she opened up her door and let me in, she was helping me out and helped me get high. If she put me out, she didn't know what to do, didn't know where I was. I remember when I was able to make amends to my mom, she said, when you were out there getting high, I never slept. She said, when you finally went to rehab, I at least had some sanity that I knew where you were at night. And by that time when I made the amends to her, she said, the one thing you've done for me is I don't stress over you anymore. And she just said, can you do that forever?
Do you want to take a break?
No, that's okay.
It's good that you should leave like a 5 to 10 second pause. Like,
Just to gather in between.
Yeah, just so you can gather, and it's good for ambience too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how are you able to maintain your sobriety over the years?
The biggest thing was, for me to remain sober, was to learn how I was affecting others, to remain how much I wasn't a father at the time I was getting high. I promised myself and my daughter when I got high, when I got sober, that I was no longer going to turn back to that stuff. And I've seen so many people come and go since then. I've seen people get clean for a couple months, go out and use and die. And just the last month alone of me getting high, I overdosed 5 times. That's basically when the heroin was getting turned over to fentanyl in the city. And people are dropping like flies off it. It's not meant for people to shoot up and get high. And it's crazy because like when we're getting high, I see someone overdose. My addict mind tells me I want that bag that he just had because it's strong. To a normal person, that sounds stupid. Only a drug addict would kind of understand that. But we kind of want like the best high possible without dying. And honestly, at that point of my addiction, I wasn't scared to die. Many times I've tried to overdose and die, and it's never happened. I remember one time I bought a bundle which was like 14 $10 bags of dope. And I got in a hotel in the Chamonix Inn, Ben Salem, and I took 2 7-bag shots, locked the door and turned my phone off, and I was hoping I overdosed and died, and unfortunately I just woke up dope sick.
So, did you see any of your friends, anyone you know, overdose in front of you?
I've seen friends overdose in front of me in addiction and in sobriety. In addiction, I've seen people overdose, and I always thought, no, not me. I know my limits. I know what I could take. I mean, no one knows what's in that bag they're getting. You're getting a bag of powder off the corner. When I got my DUI, heroin was the only thing not in my blood. And heroin was the only thing that I thought I purchased.
How did gaining control over your addiction help you to influence others?
The biggest thing the program teaches you is like staying clean, is basically by helping another person. And my mom has always been big on helping people. we've taken people in since I was 10 years old. We've always had roommates that we took in, people that she was helping out. And it just made me feel a lot better myself when I was able to help someone. Because like for the longest time, I was taken from everyone. And once I started practicing that regularly, started to feel a lot better. And anytime I had real life issues, they say to like kind of turn your attention and help someone else. And it's crazy what it does for someone.
So when did you turn to fitness in your addiction process, recovery process?
I turned to the gym maybe about 7-8 months clean. At that point, I was told we have addiction. Someone with addiction just has addictions with a lot of stuff, and you got to find positive things to take it out on. And I started working out, and honestly, it was like therapy. I went 7 days a week, sometimes there for like 2 hours. Sometimes I would go to the gym for 2 hours. I didn't want to talk to many people about what I was hurting, what I was going through at the time. So I would just go and take it and work out real hard. And by the time I left that gym that day, I always felt better.
And what do you think working out does for mental health?
I think it does so much for mental health. I mean, obviously drugs wasn't my problem. Drugs was my solution. I still believe I still have many mental problems. It's just about, I don't turn to drugs to handle it anymore. I turn to the gym. I turn to helping other people in the gym. I turn to helping regular people just at any day, everyday task. Helping other people goes a long way, and it's crazy how much it comes back, like before you even realize it.
What would your advice be to others who are struggling to cope with a drug addiction?
My advice to others struggling with a drug addiction would be, don't ever think it's too deep. Because I know many times I thought like I was just gonna die. I've overdosed 6-7 times in the last month. And I thought there was no turning around. I couldn't get 24 hours clean. Getting 2 days was a miracle. I didn't think there was no way I would ever be able to string together any time. And once you realize that, like, just taking it day by day and slowing things down, it's really possible to stay sober. Addicts are impulsive actors. Like we act like that. As soon as feelings come and hit us, we run and get high. A lot of addicts just don't know how to feel. They've dealt with so much pain in different ways, and there's some people that are born with addiction, and there's others that just cope to it later in life. But at the end of the day, drugs is just a coping. It's just basically ignoring your feelings and turning everything off. Once you realize that you can feel and everything's gonna be all right, just feeling it with sober, I think once you realize you could go through everything sober, I've been through just as much sober as I have been getting high. And being able to be a help at them times is the biggest difference. Somebody dies, I'm able to be there to try to help out the family instead of someone dying and I was there watching them die. I've taken people in from recovery that slipped up and was getting high in a recovery house. They were going to be out on the streets. And I've taken since I've been sober, I've taken about 5 friends in. 2 of them changed their life around, have their own apartments and doing well now. One of them is dead. The other one's in jail. And the other one we have no clue where it is. I've been stolen from these people that I've taken in. But the way my life changed in the last 4 years, from just like helping people here and there and taking things day by day, I've been blessed way more than I could ever think was possible. And it has to be credit back to doing stuff like that.
Can we take a second?
being sober enhanced your relationship with your daughter?
I couldn't even put into words to how much it's done. I'm present. I was never present, even when I was watching her. I say watching her. She was really watching me when I was getting high. I remember anytime I had her, I looked for anyone to take her just so I could go get the next one. And if I didn't have anyone to take her to go get the next one, I would just bring her with me. I remember taking her down to the corner and telling her I was buying tickets to the park off the guy in the corner so that we could go to the park. And it got to the point where a couple times she was scared because I had her hiding in her car seat, throwing a blanket over top of her head because I didn't want the cops to see me having a kid down there. It just shows you like how consuming the drug is while someone's on an addiction. I didn't see nothing wrong with it. And it just also shows you how good God is, because I've been down the way a million times with my daughter and never had one bad thing happen to her. Never overdosed, never got in an accident, never got robbed, never nothing. I've been robbed many times down there. I've gotten plenty of accidents down there. I overdosed. Plenty of bad things happened, but nothing has ever happened when she was with me. And I wasn't doing anything differently. I wasn't picking up less because I had her. I was doing the same stuff with her, without her. It didn't matter.
And how are you with her now?
Today, I'm present with everything. I'm so involved in her life. It's amazing. I'm so busy with 2 businesses, but I'm still able to be in her life every day. And whether it's making like TikTok rap videos or her gymnastics or her cheerleading, she's able to talk to me about anything. I'm so present. I've never been this present in her life. I talk to her on an everyday basis. And that's the biggest thing that keeps me sober.
And so you started 2 businesses. Do you want to talk about them a little bit?
I started 2 businesses. At first, I've been working in furniture my whole life. When I first got clean, I went to my old boss, and he was cool enough to take me back. And I was working for him about the first 2.5 years in recovery. Actually, probably the first 3.5. And it got to the point where I was basically running his business for him while he sat back and drove every day. And just this past Christmas, he turned to me and he said, come January 1st, I'm gonna have to give you a pay cut. And he was talking about like $200 pay cut a week. In my eyes, I deserved a raise. And I was always staying through all the bull crap because I felt like he gave me a chance when I needed it most. But it got to the point where all my loved ones and everyone's like, yo, enough's enough. You don't owe him anything. So I put in my 2 weeks with him, not knowing what I was gonna do. And I put in my 2 weeks with him and quit and started my own delivery company. And just in the past 4 months, I've been extremely busy, extremely profitable, making way more than I was ever making with him. And just feeling a lot better about doing it. Forever, I was living his dream. Now I'm able to use this furniture delivery service to power my dream of owning a gym one day.
And then you own another business?
I have another business of personal training, which I'd like to buy a gym one day and own it. A training studio. But the biggest thing with that is I get to take people in, and some of my best friends, my best friend Joe that I'm training today, he got sober and he tried everything. He tried AA, NA, he was trying everything. And I basically told him that he was gonna come live with me and go to the gym and go to work every day. And he basically was stuck with my hip going to work, going to the gym. And that's when I learned that I like training. I seen him start to grow, start to grow confidence, start to believe in himself. Some people come in the gym and they're just have no self-worth at all. They're so beat down. They think they're overweight, or some guys think they're not strong enough. They're too little. Girls think they're too big. Guys think they're too big. And they got to the point where they're so lazy and have built these habits for so long that they don't care about themselves at all. And you get them in the gym for about a month or 2 months, and you just start to see them turn so much. And it's the best feeling in the world. It's worth way more than the money. Of course, I need the money to pay my bills, but I'll do sessions for $20 an hour where I could be doing deliveries and stuff and make a little bit more money. But the satisfaction I get in helping someone and seeing them literally like grow, like I see them start feeling themselves like 2 weeks later, and they come in walking in with a smile. They start coming, showing up with tank tops. And you get to see they're more motivated towards life, they're sharper, they're more efficient. It just does so much for a person, and to be able to help do that for someone is a really good feeling. I mean, this Christmas alone, I had like 4 or 5 clients message me like I had no idea what I was getting out of training from working with you. I thought I was just getting the physical results. And honestly, that comes along with it, the physical features, but that's like the smallest win you get from getting in the gym. And it's not for everyone, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say you have to gym to have this stuff, but for me and for a lot of other people, I've seen how much it changed their lives in positive ways, way more than just having a little bit of muscle on them.
Just a little readjustment.
So what would your advice be to people who have a couple months of sobriety under their belt and are having trouble like getting a job or like getting back on their feet and into the real world?
My advice for people that have a couple months sober and struggling for work and basically not knowing what to do because they're so used to living that drug life and that fast money. When you're getting high, you're robbing someone, you're stealing from a store to do this, and you gotta break all them habits to get sober. You can't go steal from Kmart and expect to stay sober. So you're learning how to live again. You have to get out and pick up any job you can. When I first started for my boss, I was making $100 a day, working 13, 14 hours days, delivering furniture. And I would just say for anyone to like work their ass off at whatever they do, because you never know who's watching. I was busting my ass for him, and one of the managers of one of the accounts turned around and said to me, "Why are you doing this for him? You could be doing it for yourself." At the time, that didn't mean nothing to me. It was months later when he told me about my pay cut that I was like, wait, I could work for myself. There's so much work out here for people to work for themselves. And there's so many jobs. I don't understand anyone that says they can't get a job. I'm a convicted felon. I played that card when I first got sober, to be honest. My mom would call me saying, "You need to get a job, you need to start paying your own rent." At the recovery house, she was helping me. I used that excuse. I couldn't get a job because of my felony. I couldn't get the job I wanted at the time. Once I stopped looking for the job at the time and took whatever was available, things started to get better. Worked a little bit, then this job opened. I mean, I worked 6 different temporary jobs before I got back to the furniture stuff because my boss didn't give me a shot day one. Day one, I was doing temp service job for $8 an hour. And it wasn't nothing. I was enough to pay my rent. But at that time, that was enough because I was finally sober and just starting to feel normal again, and that was enough for me. As long as I could pay my rent and get by, I was happy. So I would just suggest, like, do what you gotta do to get by, whether it's working at McDonald's, Target. It doesn't matter what the job is. There's work out here. You could be a laborer for anyone. There's enough contractors. You can go to Home Depot and stand outside at 5 in the morning. You'll get work that day. But do that job and keep looking for something you like. You know what I mean? My biggest problem was I started working for my boss and I started living his dream. And I started reading these books, and it was, one of these books was like Mistakes of Life. And in that book, it talks about don't live someone else's dream. And it really hit home with me because I'm sitting here busting my ass every day, working hard as hell. And I mean, I wasn't getting no benefits. I was making my rent and all that, but I was so busy that I was so consumed that I was just working for this man, going to the gym, and that's it. And then I started slowly working for myself after work. You give your boss 8 hours a day, give yourself an hour. You know what I mean? You can find something you like, give yourself an hour a day of figuring out some short-term goals you want to accomplish. The biggest thing for me was making short-term goals and then making some long-term goals and even making some crazy goals. When I first made the goal of owning the business, it was crazy to me. I couldn't tell my friends and my family because they would laugh at me. When I first told some of my close friends, they laughed at me. They told me I was an idiot. The day I actually quit my job, I got self-made tatted on my hands because I told myself that I was committing to this job. I was committing to working for myself. And I didn't care if a job wasn't going to hire me because of hand tattoos, because I was so committed to working for myself and making it work. And there's been days where I barely had money to pay for the truck rent, the insurances, whatever. But I just do the next best thing, try my hardest, and keep moving forward. And it seems like every time I just get by. And now things are starting to get better. You know what I mean? Things are starting to have a little bit of money in my savings. And business will go dry for a couple of days, and then I'm busy as hell. I'm not going to say it's been extremely stressful starting these businesses. The time with my daughter has been less, but knowing that I'm doing it for her in the long run is making it so much better. I'm doing these businesses so that I can give my daughter a better life. I'm blessed to have my mom really help out right now and pay for her Catholic school. And but that's all stuff that I want to do and never have to worry about. I don't want mommy's help forever. I know she's my mom and she's always there for me and she's my backbone. But I want to be able to change my family's trajectory. My dad's not healthy. He works at a dead-end job. I'd love to get him off his job and working for me somewhere where I knew he was doing stuff that wasn't going to affect his physical health care. And just being my own boss gives me the power to do that stuff today. I'm able to start a fund for my daughter. If my daughter has a show Saturday, I don't have to ask off. I'm off. I'll move stuff around a different day and I'll be at that recital that I have to be at. So that's the biggest thing for me, is not having to answer anyone.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the people that were there for you throughout your time of struggling with addiction?
I'd like to just tell everyone that was there for me how much I love them and how much I'm extremely thankful for them all. And honestly, the best thing they ever did for me was kind of shut the door on me and not let me back in. My brother and my mom and my little sister and my daughter are the 4 people that played the most in me getting sober. And my mom and brother were the hardest of the 2. My brother actually wouldn't talk to me until I had 9 months sober. He seen me get clean and get a couple months and go right back plenty of times that he wasn't caring for it. So I was so thankful for that, because I don't know if I would have held on. I just kept telling myself I was going to prove him wrong. And then 9 months comes by and he picks me up outside and takes me to a Sixers game. Now me and my brother live in the same building and have the best relationship again. And it took the better part of 2 years of the 4 years I've been sober to make that relationship right. Because I've done so much messed up things in addiction. But they all stood by me. Every time I had an issue, my brother came, bailed me out, my mom bailed me out. I couldn't tell you how much times my grandma, mom or brother literally bailed me out of jail, paid off a dealer, paid off a car accident, hid me from the cops, all types of stuff that they were always there for. And they just didn't give up on me. And they all know how important they are and how thankful I am.
All right, and is there anything that you would like to add?
Nah, not really. I don't know.
No? All right, so cut it.
You good?
That was really good.